Supervisor Euler.
Yeah, if I may speak briefly in defense of the original language of the resolution. You know, definitions matter. And when state law is crafted and passed, as with the case with the California Emergency Services Act, which, as I read this definition, I would inform my colleagues, this was passed in 1970 in the state of California. Governor Ronald Reagan signed this and chaptered this into law. A Republican legislature signed this and chaptered this into law. As I read the definition and what we're dealing with today, with the amount of overreach from one government level to another, I want us to remember, what do we think was probably the original intent of these definitions when this was passed into law versus how is it being put into practice today? Defines 3 conditions or degrees. This is chapter, for those of you following along at home, Chapter 7, the California Emergency Services Act, Article 2, General Definitions, Definition 8558. There are 3 conditions or degrees of emergency established in this chapter. One is a state of war emergency. One is a state of emergency, means the duly proclaimed existence of conditions of disaster or extreme peril to the safety of persons and property within the state, caused by conditions such as, goes on to a whole bunch of things, including epidemic, which, by reason of their magnitude, are or are likely to be beyond the control of the services, personnel, equipment, and facilities of any single county, city and county, or city. So when a state of emergency statewide was declared, we fit the definition, clearly. However, definition number 3, local emergency, means the duly proclaimed existence of conditions of disaster or extreme peril to the safety of persons and property within the territorial limits of a county, city and county, or city, caused by conditions such as air pollution, blah, 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 and includes epidemic. Within the very definition of the state law that gives the governor the authority to declare a statewide state of emergency, which he did, citing the section B, it outlines a local emergency in section C. What is the governor's plan that he's put forward?
It's state.
County by county. We're going to let you all do it county by county. As long as you adhere to our rules, we're going to break it down county by county. By very definition, that is a series of local emergencies. The statewide state of emergency, by definition, no longer applies when the governor's own plan says, we're going to let these counties go into this phase and these counties go into this phase. He's evaluating it on a county-by-county basis, thereby obviating the need for a statewide state of emergency, which is why I wrote in the resolution, again citing the government code chapter, the governor shall proclaim the termination of a statewide state of emergency at the earliest possible date that conditions warrant. It doesn't say he shall string it out by setting various standards for various counties. No, that's the definition of a local emergency. So that's why I am insistent on my language. I'm sorry, I don't mean to use the word insistent. I would strongly prefer.
See,
I would strongly prefer my language that we direct the governor to adhere to state law, because by definition he is in violation of state law. Now, to the other point that was made about we can't do anything until we have a plan. We have to have a plan in place for all of our businesses before we reopen. Rhetorical question, granted, but what was the plan when we shut everything down? Was the plan 30 million unemployed Americans? Was the plan 60% of small businesses across the country at risk of failure? Was the plan tens of millions of kids denied an education? Because if that was the plan, congratulations, we achieved the plan. No, the fact of the matter is we didn't have a plan going into this. We simply flipped a switch and said, this is what we're going to do. Now, was it a government plan that created one of the strongest economic periods of expansion in our nation's history leading up to this pandemic? No, it was a series of individual businesses implementing their own business plans that created that economy. That's all I'm asking for. Let our individual businesses do what we know they can do, what they have done, what delivered us the strong economy that we had before. They will adapt to this. They will serve the needs of their customers. They will take care of their customers. And I encourage this board to simply recognize we have an opportunity today to ask this governor to please recognize the primacy of state law and the definitions contained therein, and allow us as a county to move forward as we see fit. So those are my comments in support of the resolution as I wrote it. However, in the spirit of compromise, I have no problems with incorporating the language that
The
you...
warranted statewide?
Yes.
Okay. Megan, did you get that?
I did get it.
Thank you.